Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason and this is the next episode in my build of the Endeavour by Amati. And in this video we're going to be tackling figure 19. So let's read what that tells us we need to be doing. Taper uniformly the upper end of the mast 56 dowel in milled wood. So for those of you that might not know what a dowel, if you're younger, that is a dowel. Basically, it's strip that's circular. And it has a milled cutout, which is what you can see there and there. As shown in the figure, obtain the measure of the complete mast from the technical table. So we need to have a look at the plans. And then following that, preparation of the sails. Prepare the sails as indicated in the details of the technical table. Sail 63 will only be glued to the mast slot after the mast is correctly mounted on the deck, complete with the tie rods and the boom. Also in this case, consult carefully the indications given in the technical table. So we're now starting to move away from purely having instructions in the plan to having to use the, in the instruction book I should say, we're now having to use the plans, the line drawings to take measurements and understand where things go. So fundamentally what it's telling us here as we look at this, it's telling us that we want to take the dowel, which is 8mm in diameter, and reduce it at the very top to 5mm. So that means we have to taper it, so we have to travel from 8mm to 5mm over the length of 110mm. So we need to be marking all of those out as a start point. And we also need to be checking that our dowel is the right length for the mast, so we may well be cutting a section off. So let's start by having a look at all of that. Okay, having consulted the plans, the mast appears to be cut to the correct length, so we're good to get on with the tapering. Now there's two ways of doing tapering. There's manual and there's machine, and I'm going to show you both. So the first thing we need to do is our measurements, and we're going to use this milled slot as a handy way of keeping our rule steady. Okay, so right at the end, and we're tapering from 110mm in total. So I'll mark that there. And then I'm going to turn this around and mark it at the other end as well. So if we put that at 110 to the end, there we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some tape around it. Like so. And that's, we can then draw around, which gives us our visual aid as to where this needs to stop. Now, it doesn't really matter if we go over by 0.5 millimeter or something. No one's going to be checking with calipers after we've finished doing this. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you go slightly over. But it's always good to try and do it as exactly as possible. Right, we can take the tape off now. Okay, so that's how much tapering we've got to do, which isn't a lot really. So that's quite good news. But we do need to be able to measure how far, how wide we are at the top to know when we've completed the process. So we'll know when the job is done when we're at the right diameter at the top and we've got a seamless, stepless, smooth taper from this point to that point. So let's show you how to do that. So we're going to use one of these to measure the diameter of our mast at the end there. So you can get manual ones, but the digital ones are far more accurate. And just out of interest, we're advised that this is 8mm. So we're just going to measure the diameter of that and see if it is. Yes, it is. So we're all good. So what we can do is we can set this to 5. Come on. There we go. Oh, just went over. There we go. Set it to 5. I'm going to switch it off to save the battery. And that will give us, we can leave it like that, and that gives us a visual aid. And then when we're right near to 5, we can start actually switching this on and measuring it. So let me show you the first way of tapering a mast. Okay, so the way we're going to taper this manually is using some sanding paper. Go as coarse as you like to start with, and then we'll give it a fine finish towards the end. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fold it in half so that we've created a little loop like that. Then the mast goes in, we can hold it a bit tighter, and we simply are going to go up and down like that, reducing the length. Now naturally, if you go over the end with your sanding paper so that you know you've gone past the end of the dowel, naturally it'll start to wear down more at this end than it is at that end. But you want to start by concentrating on the top, slowly rotating your mast as you do it, and then start bringing that out so that you've done the full length. There you go. It's going to give your arm a lot of exercise, and it's going to take you a little bit of time, but we've only got a short distance to do, and you could do a bit and then have a break and then come back and do a bit more. Or if you're lucky enough, or if you're getting into wooden modelling, you've been enjoying the build and you want to make more wooden ships that are going to have masts, then you could invest in one of these. Okay, so I'm also going to show you how to go about milling this down using a lathe. So this is the Proxon DB250. It's a small, simple lathe, but it's ideal for this task. One of the key features of it is, if I can just lift this up, get this in shot, there is a little hole there, and that allows you to pass the mast through. So it's really, really handy. It is designed with model builders in mind, and you can see we can put that straight through. So that's why we've marked it off. That's going to be helpful in a minute. So just in case you've never used a lathe, we'll just talk you through some of the basics. What we're basically going to do is this is going to spin, and then we're going to use one of these cutting tools to shape it to the end. We'll still use our caliper for measuring, but we'll be able to get it done in a fraction of the time of doing it by hand, and without all that hard labour on your arm. Now there's a couple of things you need to do. You need to make sure you're wearing protective glasses because you've got wood chips flying about, and you need to have a dust mask because you're creating some dust. So always work safely, and that means you'll be able to build more models for longer. Something I nearly forgot to mention, we need to find the centre point of the end of the mast here. This is only important if you're not tapering it manually. If you're doing it on here, we need to find it. So we use a little tool like this. It's a little centre point finder, and we fit it over the end, and we can draw a little line, and then we can twist it around. I nearly forgot to do this, which is why we're doing it now. And draw another little line in a different direction, and that will give us our centre point. Couldn't quite see the pencil there, so just do it again. And we can mark out our centre point. And then the pin on this goes into that centre point, and that way you know that you're getting this completely even. As if you have that off centre, then you're going to misshape your mast, so that's really important. Okay, so I think we're good to go, and this is the rest, and what that basically does is allows you to rest your tool and move it along. So now here again, there is two different ways you can do it. We can rough it out using the tool, which will take the material down quickly, which is sort of my intention towards the end here. Or you can, if you like, not use the cutting tools at all and just do what you were going to do before and put some sanding paper in and just sand it down. It'll take a bit longer that way, but yeah, you can do it that way if you prefer. Right, so I'm going to start, we're just going to take a little bit down to start with. So we're going to concentrate on this back end. So we'll put the rest in place. I like to set it, make sure it's flat. That's not moved for a while, has it? There we go. And get the height a bit more in line with the job at hand. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to mask up and then away we go. So, periodically we need to stop and just take a measurement like that. Otherwise, we can carry on whittling this away a little bit. So let me show you what it looks like if you choose to go down the sanding method. It's very simple, you just have to keep your fingers out of the way and keep moving backwards and forwards, and you will get there in the end. So let's just see where we've got to. So we started off at 8, and at the end here we're now at 7.5. So we've got quite a way to go. I'll come back to you when it's done. Okay, a little bit difficult to get this on camera, but very quickly we need to measure a point where we're going to drill a hole, and the depth is 23 millimeters. What it doesn't appear to tell us is what size hole that should be, so we'll have a look at the plans and see if that helps us in a moment. But we know we've got to measure 23 millimeters. So all we're going to do is put the mast in the deck, seat it properly, which I haven't done, so you can see, measure the 23 millimeters off, and then mark it off so that we're ready to drill a hole. I'm going to do it off camera because it saves me having to reset my camera up in a different position, but I'll come back to you when that's done. Okay, having marked out our position, I can't find a diameter for drilling this hole. But when I look at the next instruction step, we've got quite a bit of metalwork to put in. So my plan is to drill a hole for now and then widen it when we come to fit the boom hinges. So for now, we're just going to make sure we've got a hole and it's in the right place. So we've marked it out and we can simply drill through with that. Be easier to do this with a power drill if you've got one, which I have, but for just fullness I will show you doing it manually. I do try and keep this build series to beginner as much as possible. There we go. So we're through there. Oh, if you've got a drill press, that's the best way to go. Make sure it's nice and square and you can just zip it down. But we have our hole. We'll leave it like that for now because we know that we've got to widen it, or suspect that we're going to have to widen it. Just going to get the little bit of debris out. So running the drill back through the other way. A drill will always follow the hole that you've drilled, so you're not going to create another one. But just want to get rid of all the debris. And make that hole free running. There we go. Just rubbing it backwards and forwards. The flutes on the drill bit will just slightly open it, and it means it's easy for us to locate and widen when we need to. So that now brings us to preparation of the sails. So we've got our sails in the bag, and the first thing we need to do is cut them all out. So let's do that. Right, our sails are quite a large affair. The largest one running the full height of the mast. But we've got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3 sails all in all that we need to cut out. And the way to do it is with a very, very sharp pair of scissors. So I have just freshly sharpened these. If you go in with anything blunter, it's going to be quite ragged and you'll end up with tufts and things, whereas with a nice sharp pair of scissors you get a nice crisp cut. So our first stage is to cut all of those out, and when I've done that I'll come back to you. Make sure you keep close to the black line or on the black line. Don't cut this section here where you can see there's a little gap, because that's where we're going to fold it over and glue it down. So right now all I want you to do is get right onto the line and then carefully start cutting out your sail. And if you work in smaller sections, that'll end up probably being the best way of controlling what you're doing. Don't worry if it's not too straight and you feel that it's not as good as it could be. We're gonna fold these sections over, so practice first by cutting those straight edges where you're gonna fold over. By the time you've done that, you'll be a master and be able to go down this outside edge nice and crisply. Right, so as we look at the plan, there's a section here, preparation of the sails. Effectively what it's asking us to do is fold this over so that it's double thickness and glue it down using fabric glue. So I'm going to use this high-tack permanent fabric glue. Dries clear and it's flexible, and it says suitable for most fabrics, so probably should be alright for this, because I have no idea what sort of fabric this is. It's not something that is naturally grown, that's for sure. So where we've got these eyelets, we need to sort of line them up, because ultimately that's telling us where we're going to put our stitches and where we're going to pass our needle through when we're sewing this on. So yeah, and I'm not sure whether we have lots of eyes, metal eyes for this, or whether we're doing it with loops of thread. I don't see that we've got a huge amount of eyes left, but we do have some, so not quite sure what we're doing with those. So that might be for this, or some of it might be for the boom maybe, and we can see we've got some eyes on the mast to attach. So I think we'll probably be going through these with a needle. So that's what we're basically going to do. We're going to fold it over and glue it down. So let's have a look at that. So what we're going to do, you can see I've put some down so I can show you. We're just going to put a bead of glue down the center line where we're folding it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use something flat like this steel rule. We can wash this off. And we're going to get a little cocktail stick, and we're going to use the cocktail stick to spread the glue. And I'm spreading it from that line up to the outside edge. I'm not spreading it that way. And the reason why I'm spreading it is I don't want too much on so that it's all sort of oozing out and making a mess. We just want a sort of a film. Right, so we've got about halfway there. That's fine, we can do a section at a time. And then I don't want to touch it with my fingers really, because then I'll start getting it on all sorts of things. So we're just going to fold that over like so, and when we believe we're at the halfway point, we'll just press it down, and we're going to use this rule there just to stick that down. Now this stuff is supposed to be tacky. I've got to be honest, I'm not getting tacky at all at this moment in time. Well, I'm not thinking very much of this adhesive, to be honest. There we go. It's sort of sticking. You get the idea anyway. It's a bit messy. I said I didn't want to get it on my hands. It's all over my hands. Don't know how long it takes to dry. Yeah, it dries up to 5 times faster than the original formula. That's still pretty slow. we go. Oh gosh. I think we might end up having to weight this down. I think the solution is going to be doing little sections at a time. Well, I have to be honest, I'm really struggling with this. I cannot get this to stick down. It would be this quite cheap and nasty feeling material. Either way, this isn't working for me. So what I've decided I'm going to do, because this is quite robust stuff, you know, it's not fraying or anything like this, is I'm not going to do the folding. I'm just going to cut the fold off and we'll thread it through a single thickness, because I cannot get this to stick down. It won't stick down, and now it's just becoming a tacky mess, and we're going to ruin things. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll cut these off and leave it like that. So that sort of completes the episode. I think that will be perfectly strong enough, and we'll be able to sew it on as we need to. So yeah, I'm going to cut those off, and then we'll have a look what the next step is. So that completes figure 19, tapering the mast and preparing the sails, which we've ended up doing slightly differently. Figure 20 is to drill a blind hole with a 2mm diameter inside the channel. Now we've already done a pilot hole, so we just need to open that up with a 2mm drill. Don't need to do that on camera. So that completes this episode of building our Endeavour by Amati. So in the next episode we'll focus on figure 21, which is building up the hinge and the boom by the looks of it. So until next time, you enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.